specials on all their.
Hey, welcome in. We're getting ready to start off a Thursday edition of the Bruce Hooley Show. We're in commercial right now. We'll be out. We'll hit the president's visit to the southern border, his physician's report on his physical examination yesterday at Walter Reed Army Hospital, and the bike path for downtown Columbus. It's going to cost more than they said. How much more? We're about ready to tell you. Welcome in to a Thursday edition of the Bruce Hooley Show. Glad to have you along. You can watch the show live on the 9890 Answer Facebook page, the Bruce Hooley Show Facebook page. My personal Facebook page is at least the first hour. Catch the podcast by going to 9890answer.com. Click on listen and then click on shows and you will find it right there. Now, I've been around this news game a while, and I've covered politicians for a while, and coaches and sports and everything. So I'm not unaccustomed to being lied to. I'm not unaccustomed to being misled. Hopefully you're not either after listening to the show for a while. So when Joe Biden visits the southern border today, and he goes to Brownsville, Texas, you might think, hey, this is the hot spot of the border. It was a while back. But in the past week, what you need to know today is that they have detained 46 illegal immigrants coming across where Biden is visiting. Donald Trump is going to Eagle Pass, which also has been the hot spot of the border for a while. But while it's not the hot spot now, it's considerably hotter than Brownsville. Where Trump is going today, they have detained in the past week 2,000 illegal immigrants. So I didn't do the math on 2,000 versus 46 in terms of percentage increase, but it is significant. And that is, of course, the reason why Joe Biden is going to Brownsville, because he spared Brownsville having to clean up as much as, say, San Francisco did when Xi Jinping came into San Francisco. They had to get rid of all the homeless people and all the drug addicts and all the feces and all the needles. Lucky for Brownsville, their flow of migrants has abated, and that is no doubt why Joe Biden is choosing to visit there. Now, it's not just Joe Biden who's lying to you and to me and to us, but right here at home, where we have periodically horrific stories of lives that end prematurely because of murder and mayhem, courtesy of our inept Mayor Andrew Ginther and his equally inept all-Democratic City Council and City Hall. We are going to, as I told you last week, beautify our downtown with a $10 million kick-in from the state's Super Duper Fund. And I thought, and I've said, and I'll say again, the expenditure of $10 million from the state, and that's COVID money they didn't use for COVID, $700 million, 350, I just laughed at the absurdity of it. 350 million controlled by the state Senate, 350 million controlled by the Ohio House. They actually call it the Super Duper Fund. That's one crazy portion of this. And I told you last week they were going to give 10 million of that money to the city of Columbus to build a fancy bike path in downtown Columbus, because far fewer people go to downtown Columbus anymore because they don't want to get murdered. That is a deterrent to downtown tourism, getting murdered. The hockey team, if they were playoff worthy, maybe that would diminish some people's concerns about their personal safety. They want to be a part of a winning team, but that, alas, is not the case. So there's really not a lot of reason to go downtown unless you want to get a good meal and you deem it worth the risk of getting murdered. But it's now not a $10 million bike path. As city officials and a Columbus developer, a well-known developer I like, Edwards. Edwards does a great job. They did a great job with Crew Stadium. They did a great job with Tunnel Crossing Mall back in the day. I have no issue with the Edwards Corporation. I have no real issue with developers being developers. I have an issue with developers lying to me or telling me one thing when they really mean another. But I don't get the sense that that's the case here with the Edwards development. The people lying to you, and this will not shock you, is the mayor and his officials. Because I distinctly remember in May of 2023, when Andrew Ginther had his State of the City address, he was quite open about what his number one priority was, or is, as the mayor of Columbus. In fact, he said it in his speech, and he repeated it in this interview with 10 TV. Number one priority, making sure our neighborhoods are safe and that they're healthy and strong. Seems like a good priority. It's one of the few things, maybe the only thing, that Andrew Ginther and I would agree on. No, we'd agree on one other thing. I like to play OSU Scarlet too. I don't get to play it the hundreds of times that Andrew Ginther does per year, or even once a year. But that's what we'd agree on. Scarlet's a great course to play, and that safety ought to be number one. So imagine my shock when I turned to page 2 of Jim Weiker's Columbus Dispatch report about the bike-friendly downtown $100 million plan to swap road lanes for pedestrian passages. And right here on page 2, after I read all about how the Columbus Downtown Development Corporation, you remember them, right? They're the ones when the Dispatch asked them to provide answers about their big fat payment to their retired CEO, payments in excess of $1 million. They said, go ask someone else. And then that someone else said, no, go ask the CDDC. This is just. But Ginther, on page 2 of this story celebrating the soon-to-be 100, not 10, $100 million bike path for downtown Columbus, Andrew Ginther is quoted saying, "This is a top priority for me." A top priority for me. I thought safety was your top priority. Now, I will grant you can have more than one priority, but I wouldn't say it's a top priority while you have people getting murdered at an alarming rate, cars being stolen at an alarming rate. But no, Ginther says this is a top priority for me. And then he goes on and he says, see if this is true. "We're still the heart and soul of this region," meaning downtown Columbus. "There is no Granville. There is no Newark. There is no Grove City. And there is no Dublin or New Albany without a strong, healthy, vibrant downtown." And that is why this boondoggle bike path is so important, to be investing in ourselves for the future. Is that true? There's no Dublin or New Albany without a strong, healthy, vibrant downtown? I probably am best able to vet this statement from Andrew Ginther as it relates to Dublin. Now, I would submit to the court of public opinion that we have not had a safe, prosperous, vibrant downtown Columbus since the George Floyd riots or since the pandemic. Right? Downtown Columbus has struggled. We got commercial real estate vacancies. We got murders. We had Andrew Ginther had to basically shut down the Short North, not allow anybody to park there in order to keep it quiet for a weekend while his national mayor's conference was in town. So I don't think he could argue plausibly. He would argue it, but not plausibly. The downtown has been safe, healthy, strong, vibrant for the past 3 years. How's Dublin doing over the last 3 years? How's that bridge? Did that Bridge Park thing fail? Is Bridge Park in Dublin? Did that make it? Are the restaurants full of people? Did they ever get that bridge built, that walking bridge over Dublin? Has anybody been down on Bridge Street in Dublin, seen how that has changed over the past 3, 4, 5 years? Strikes me, and I'm not a developer. I'm not a politician. It strikes me Dublin's doing okay, maybe better than okay over the last 3 or 4 years, while downtown Columbus has struggled. And I've been out to New Albany a time or 10 in the last couple years. Downtown New Albany seems like it's doing great. I don't think there are vacancy signs, for sale signs in yards in New Albany, which reminds me, weren't we supposed to be caring in Columbus about affordable housing? Wasn't that a big priority of the mayor and Shannon Hardin, the city council president, and everybody else? You got $100 million laying around. You're going to build a fancy bike path to connect the Scioto Mile and the this and the that, and all in an effort to get people to come back downtown, when what I would argue is the only way they're going to come back downtown is if they stop seeing headlines about people being murdered or their cars stolen or being pistol whipped or the like. I'm going to spend a lot of money here.
For this afternoon, the high today at 41. It'll be partly cloudy tonight with 6. Clouds and a passing shower tomorrow afternoon. The high tomorrow.
I don't mind the spending of the money, as long as it's not my money. But of course, it is my money because I pay taxes in the city of Columbus. I just don't like being lied to. I really don't like being lied to. Like, don't tell me we have an affordable housing problem, which we know is BS. Because the average rent in Columbus is $400 a month lower than the average rent across the United States of America. So we don't have an affordable housing problem. They might not like that we don't have enough low-income housing, but hey, maybe take some of this $100 million and incentivize a developer to build low-income housing somewhere. Problem is, nobody wants it in their neighborhood. NIMBY, not in my neighborhood. Why? Because your police force is down 300, 400, 500 officers, and they can't enforce the law in the city of Columbus. Whose desk does that land on? Oh, that's right. That would land on the mayor's desk. Anybody noticing a problem here? Anybody noticing anything we could change that might give us a chance to fix a lot of the problems that Columbus has?
Not only does Soft Step Carpet in Plain City
Maybe
service the flooring needs for all areas of Central Ohio, it's unique because I'm actually part of the sales staff. That's right. When I'm not doing the Bruce Hooley Show, I'm selling flooring for Soft Step Carpet. We not only sell all the major brands in carpet, but also luxury vinyl plank flooring, which looks like wood or tile, but is waterproof, durable, and affordable. Email me at brucehooley@gmail.com. That's brucehooley@gmail.com, and I'll be happy to bring an array of them. Or you can stop by our showroom at 7804 State Route 161 in Plain City. One thing to note, we use deluxe Royale padding, which gives you the soft step feel you deserve. Soft Step Carpet in Plain City. Our phone number is easy to remember, 614-873-0001. Yes, Plain City's first phone number and your top choice for flooring in Central Ohio. Soft Step Carpet.
We all know that aches and pains come with getting older, but it doesn't mean you have to accept it. That's why I want to tell you about a special lady, Leah from Ohio, and her Relief Factor story. One Sunday, Leah was sitting on the couch in so much pain, she was literally in tears. That's when she decided to try Relief Factor. Just 8 days later, she found relief, and she continued to get better and better. To quote her, she said, "I am truly amazed at this product. Like me, who after 9, almost 10 years, almost a decade of low back pain, lost that pain thanks to Relief Factor." If you're living with aches and pains, see how Relief Factor, a daily drug-free supplement, could help you feel and live better every day. Get the 3-week quick starter pack at relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF. It all comes with the feel better or your money back guarantee. That number, 1-800-4RELIEF. relieffactor.com.
This is Dennis Prager. I am excited to announce the all-new Pragertopia Plus. You can listen to my show whenever it's convenient for you, all commercial-free and all on demand. Now with Prager Plus, search topics, guests, and segments all the way back to 2010. And now a truly exciting new benefit, my monthly online video get-together for Pragertopia Plus members only. This is where for an hour each week, Pragertopia Plus members get an exclusive chance to ask me anything. That's right, anything. It's on video. I'll be talking to you and answering your questions. We may even have a special guest every now and then. I've never done this. Submit your questions for me at PragerTopia.com. This is only available to Pragertopia Plus members. This is our chance to connect like never before. Go to PragerTopia.com or click the banner at DennisPrager.com.
Well, the shipment arrived yesterday. RiverbendRanchSteaks.com/Bruce. That's where you go if you'd like to set up a monthly or bi-monthly shipment of great steaks, ground beef, filet mignon, New York strip, ribeye. You pick what cuts you want, and they get shipped right to your door. Couldn't be better. And the beef couldn't be better either, because it is certified Angus beef, USDA Prime, USDA Choice, the top 2 rated beefs that you can get. Probably can't even find that in your grocer. And if you can, you're going to pay a lot more for it than you will when you take it on a subscription basis from one ranch out west, Wyoming, Idaho, Montana. I didn't say it was a small ranch. It's a big ranch. It would have to be. The guy built his own $160 million processing plant. The beef is processed. It is aged to perfection. It is flash frozen and is shipped right to your door. Set it up. RiverbendRanchSteaks.com/Bruce Hooley. RiverbendRanchSteaks.com/Bruce Hooley. First time you grill, you will thank me. RiverbendRanchSteaks.com/Bruce Hooley. Oh, what a relief yesterday. Joe Biden, before departing for Brownsville, Texas, had his physical examination at Walter Reed Army Hospital. And we got a definitive answer why he is a stumbling, bumbling, mumbling fool. It's not dementia. It's seasonal allergies and obstructive sleep apnea. I have those, but I wouldn't be afraid to sit down and do an interview with a major national reporter. I speak for 2 hours a day on the radio, sometimes more if I'm doing a podcast. And I have seasonal allergies and occasional obstructive sleep apnea. I'm doing better than the president. The physician's name, by the way, if he's yours, I'd get a different doctor. Kevin O'Connor. His conclusion says Biden is an active 81-year-old and able to execute his duties as president. What are his duties as president? To let Obama make all the decisions behind closed doors? And he's able to do that. Here's more from Dr. O'Connor. President Biden is a healthy, active, robust 81-year-old male. Wait a minute, isn't that transphobic to say he's a male? Who remains fit. Who remains fit? Why does he wander off the stage like a lost puppy? Who remains fit to successfully execute the duties of the presidency, to include those as chief executive, head of state, commander-in-chief, as long as he gets to bed by 6 p.m. Oh, I added the last part. Sorry. They did admit, what? That Biden's a well-meaning elderly man with a compromised memory? No. It's not Robert Herr's report. This is Kevin O'Connor's report. He says Biden has trouble sleeping due to obstructive sleep apnea. Oh, I thought maybe it was all the evil that he's doing throughout the world that maybe wears on whatever vestige of a conscience he has left. No, just the sleep apnea. I don't like being lied to by Dr. Kevin O'Connor or by anybody. That's why, as I flip back to this story about the now $100 million bike path for downtown Columbus, I take issue with the fact that they find $100 million laying around, by the way, from philanthropic, private, and public funding. How much do you think is going to be philanthropic? How much of it do you think is going to be private? And how much do you think it's going to be public? I'm putting my chip on the public funding being the biggest part of this. But I just don't like being told we don't have enough affordable housing when housing in Columbus, and the latest reports are that our average monthly rent is $400 under the national average. And I don't like being told by the mayor that his top priority is safety if he's got $100 million laying around to spend on this. Now, I know it's Franklin County and it's different than Columbus and all that. But the story of 5-year-old Darnell Taylor and what happened to him shows me that if we've got 100 million laying around, 10 million of it's coming from the state, at least 10 million from the super duper fund, you could at least take that and give it to, oh, I don't know, an audit of Franklin County Children's Services, or maybe the statewide Children's Services or something. Because Darnell Taylor, 5 years old, killed by all appearances by his 48-year-old guardian, Pammy May, was just horribly, horribly abandoned by virtually everyone in his life. The story comes from 10 TV. They have substantiated a report of physical abuse and neglect involving Darnell Taylor on March 24th, 2022, less than 2 years ago. His biological mother, who they do not name because she is not charged with any crime, apparently left Darnell Taylor outside in a stroller, strapped into a stroller, in March of 2022. Now, it could have been a warm day, but leaving a child unattended outside in March, strapped in a stroller. She said she was punishing him for calling her a bad name. A neighbor told Columbus police a different story than the mom, who said Darnell Taylor had been out there for 5 minutes. The neighbor said he'd been out there alone for an hour. He was then taken to Franklin County Children's Services. His mother was taken to Grant Medical Center after she made suicidal and homicidal remarks to officers. Wait, I have a question. How did she not end up dead? We were told yesterday by this wacko former LAPD internal affairs guy that the guy who was shot this week by Columbus police deserved better, because when police officers show up and mentally ill people get killed. She's making homicidal and suicidal remarks to officers. Why didn't they shoot her and kill her? Oh, I know why. Because she didn't have an upraised knife that she was coming at officers with. Man, I'm sick of the lies about police officers and how they don't prize and treasure life. Again, still waiting for a story about how emotionally impacted the police officers were who spent, I think, 36 or 48 straight hours looking for Darnell Taylor before his guardian was found in Cleveland and told him that she had stuffed him in a storm drain after she suffocated him. Darnell's grandparents took Darnell in after the incident with the mother, but then they gave him up to Pammy May and her husband because they said they were having a hard time handling him. They said May was a longtime family friend who they trusted when they needed help raising the boy. Pammy May had no criminal history, but in a February 22nd arraignment, this according to 10 TV, a prosecutor on the case said she has a history of bipolar disorder and schizophrenia, and that she exhibited troubling behavior in the past, like possessive and controlling behavior. We got 10 million from the state, 100 million overall for a bike path. And this young man, whose life is tragically cut short because everyone around him who should have loved him and protected him failed him. We can't shake a few dollars free to reform, or at least look at reforming, Franklin County Children's Services. Remember, Micaiah Bryant, who she had the intersectionality boxes and died in a shooting by a Columbus police officer. So she became a cause celeb nationally. LeBron's tweeting about her. Everybody, Al Sharpton, everybody's tweeting about Micaiah Bryant. Remember, she was awarded Franklin County Children's Services too. Remember that? I remember that. She's not mentioned in this story, by the way. Because, of course, we wouldn't want to do anything to upset the government grift that's going on in Columbus. Just keep giving them money, keep giving them money, keep giving them money. But save a little back because, you know, that bike path, that'll really spruce things up.
That's RN News. I'm Rich Thomason. A wildfire racing across the Texas Panhandle is now the largest in Texas history. The Smokehouse Creek Fire covers nearly 1,700 square miles. It's destroyed many homes and businesses. At least one death is blamed on the inferno. A judge in a third state has ruled former President Trump off the primary ballot. This time it's Illinois, where the primary is March 19th. Although it'll have to pass muster with Congress to take effect, congressional negotiators say they do have a deal aimed at averting a partial government shutdown this coming weekend. The Fed's preferred inflation gauge rose 0.3% December to January. Prices were up 2.4% from a year ago. Year-over-year prices were up 2.6% in the month of December. On Wall Street, the Dow 2 points lower, while the Nasdaq is 35 points higher. More details at srnnews.com.
The new FedNow system is paving the way for the digital dollar. It grants the government unprecedented access to your financial transactions. This isn't just an invasion of privacy, it's a direct assault on your liberty and hard-earned money. It's another reason why I recommend physical gold IRAs from the Birch Gold Group. I'm Lance Wallnau. I'm a news analyst and a podcaster with nearly 25 million downloads to people just like you who cherish their financial independence. A precious metals IRA can help you avoid the scrutiny of Big Brother while also preserving your retirement savings through almost anything, including economic crashes, political instability, and even hyperinflation. To find out more, get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting the word FAITH to 989898. Birch Gold Group is the only gold company I trust. Get their free info kit and see how a gold IRA can help you. Text FAITH to 989898. Remember, there's no strings attached. Text FAITH and the number 989898 right now, and I pray you're blessed with
news, opinion, passion. Here, 98.9 FM, The Answer, anywhere you go. With The Answer's mobile app at 989theanswer.com. Also on your smart speakers, TuneIn or iHeart.
What do you want your future to be like? Invest in your education today, something that no one can take away from you. Ohio Christian University's online programs for working adults give you the flexibility to take one class at a time to fit your busy schedule. Our programs range from business to psychology and substance abuse counseling. Classes begin on March 19th, 2024. Take the next step and call 844-726-7937 today to learn more, or go to ohiochristian.edu/apply.
War has played a key role in the history of the United States, from the nation's founding right down to the present. Wars made the United States independent, kept it together, increased its size, and established it as a global superpower. Hi, I'm James Early, host of the Key Battles of American History podcast. In each episode, I discuss American history through the lens of the most important battles of America's wars. To start listening now, go to ParthenonPodcast.com or search Key Battles of American History on your favorite podcasting platform.
Hey, Health Warriors, Dr. Brendan Schreiner here with Revive Your Health Radio on 98.9 FM, The Answer, where every week you're going to get world-class lifestyle education from myself and other healthcare practitioners. So if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, be sure to tune in to Revive Your Health Radio every week on 98.9 FM, The Answer.
Revive Your Health Radio with Dr. Brandon Schreiner, Saturday afternoon
should there
from 1
be?
to 2 and Sunday morning from 9 to 10 on 98.9 FM, The Answer.
Voice. We're going to fight for what's right in the greatest country ever conceived. He's Charlie Kirk, and you can hear him weekdays from 5 to 7 on your station for news, opinion, and 98.9 FM, The Answer.
You are making a big mistake and costing yourself money if you get flooring from anywhere but the place where I work after I finish the Bruce Hooley Show, and that place is Soft Step Carpet and Flooring in Plain City. It's just down 161 from Costco, not far from Post Road and 33, and we have all the major brands. We have Anderson, and we have Shaw, and we have Dreamweaver, and look, you're not going to find the products a greater selection anywhere else, but you are going to find them at our place. You're going to A, get them installed sooner, and B, you're going to get them for far less money. Why? Because we don't have a lot of the challenges, middle management, all these layers of people you got to pay for, all the fancy signage. We don't have that. A lot of these big box stores in these high rent retail districts do, and I get it, they got to cover their costs. We just don't have that issue, so we don't pass it along to you. You can email me and I'll take care of you personally. Love to come to your house, show you our products, and get you on our schedule for installation inside a month. BruceHooley@gmail.com is how you get a hold of me. BruceHooley@gmail.com. BruceHooley@gmail.com. So Joe Biden goes to Brownsville, Texas today. Donald Trump goes to Eagle Pass, Texas today. Brownsville had 46 illegal immigrants stopped in the last week. Eagle Pass had 2,000. And this all occurs against the backdrop of the murder a week ago today of 22-year-old Laken Riley, a nursing student at the University of Georgia, who was out for a jog mid to late morning and was grabbed and beaten to death by a Venezuelan migrant. The person charged with the crime is Jose Antonio Ibarra. The mayor of Athens, Kelly Gertz, tried yesterday to come out and talk about how Georgia was much safer than other campuses in the Southeastern Conference, and that this is the first murder in Georgia in 30 years. So I guess you're not supposed to care about Laken Riley. But here was Kelly Gertz in 2019 announcing at a city meeting the policy that would cost eventually Laken Riley her life. Now you say, well, Georgia, isn't it a purple state? Like, isn't Brian Kemp a Republican, the governor there? And Athens, I mean, you know, it's good old boys, South, Georgia Bulldogs, national champions. That can't be a Democratic city, Bruce. Well, Athens, Georgia is like Austin, Texas, okay? It's a bastion of woke liberalism in the middle of, and Atlanta is the only other Democrat enclave in the state of Georgia. When you look at the electoral map from the state of Georgia, it's all red except for Atlanta and Athens. And that's been enough, or at least has been enough, to get Raphael Warnock in the Senate, John Ossoff in the Senate, Joe Biden in the White House. So Laken Riley's funeral's tomorrow. What do you think the top story in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution is today? Is it about her life and maybe reforms in the city of Athens? No. The story, headline says, not fair. After University of Georgia killing, Venezuelans in Georgia worry about backlash. Now, I do not advocate for and would strenuously oppose any backlash against any Venezuelans who did not have anything to do with Laken Riley's murder. And it appears that this was an act of one solo illegal immigrant, Jose Antonio Ibarra. But there is a time and place for stories like this, and the time is not the day before this young woman is celebrated at her funeral. And the place is not in a major newspaper to shame people of Athens for being upset about the murder of this student. But of course, we've got to tell the tale of woe of another immigrant from Venezuela who's not at all like Jose Antonio Ibarra. And so that's what the AJC does. By the way, the byline is by Lataro Grinspan. Let me see if they bio Lataro at the end. They did, but I cut it off when I printed it. Here's how the story starts. Klinsman Torres is a migrant from Venezuela, currently living and working in Metro Atlanta. He unlawfully crossed the U.S.-Mexico border in August of 2022, just a few weeks before his countryman, Jose Antonio Ibarra, did the same. Ibarra has become nationally known after being charged with kidnapping and murdering a nursing student from the University of Georgia. Laken Riley, the victim's 22. Her death is believed to be the first homicide on campus in nearly 30 years. So relax, all you crazy Republicans. Torres says that the Venezuelan people he knows are worried that inflammatory rhetoric around immigrants and immigration could reverse the gains they've made as low-income workers in the local economy. Why are they working in the local economy if they are illegals? Are there not other legal citizens of the United States who might want that job that this illegal migrant has? Let's read on, because I'm sure it gets much more sympathetic. The AJC says reports of record-breaking numbers of illegal border crossings have galvanized Republican leaders. What do the polls say? Just Republican leaders? Mitch McConnell, Mike Johnson? Are they the only ones? Jim Jordan? Are they the only ones concerned about this? I think citizens are concerned about this. But the AJC says it's galvanized Republican leaders and led Democrats to embrace tough enforcement bills. Oh, it's led those Democrats by their nose. It's led them to. You know what's led them to do that? Their fear of not getting reelected. That's what's led them to do that. On Tuesday, new Gallup polling found Americans consider immigration the country's single most important problem. Yeah, because funny thing about Americans, they don't like having their 22-year-old daughters murdered by illegal immigrants. It's just a funny trait, a quirk, a weird peccadillo that we who are fathers and husbands charged with protecting our children have. Riley's death at the alleged hands of Ibarra has ratcheted up the tension. On social media, President Donald Trump called the Venezuelan national a monster, putting the blame on the Biden administration for a migrant invasion that is, quote, killing our citizens. Well, let's vet the accuracy of that statement. Is Antonio Ibarra a monster? Yeah, my guess is if you pull out something, a hammer, a rock, and you disfigure a woman. By the way, she was trying to call 911 and he took the phone away from her. I think that qualifies as monster. I don't have any problem with the former president calling Ibarra a monster. I don't have any problem with him calling it a migrant invasion. We've had somewhere between 8 and 10 million illegal aliens come into our country since Joe Biden became president. That feels like an invasion to me. And that is killing our citizens. Well, they're planning her funeral tomorrow, so I think that's pretty irrefutable. Brian Kemp, the Georgia governor, has also linked the bloodshed at UGA to federal immigration policy, calling the murder inexcusable and avoidable. Inexcusable? Check. Avoidable? Yeah, check. If Ibarra wasn't in the country, Lake and Riley be alive. I think Kemp is safe in saying both inexcusable and avoidable. The head of the Georgia Republican Party, look, they're pouncing, those Republicans. Former State Senator Josh McCoon called out illegal alien violence and blamed Joe Biden for allowing, quote, a Venezuelan illegal alien to come here and commit this crime. Well, again, you're on pretty solid ground saying that. But here we go. Now we're going to get set straight. The AJC says, on average, unauthorized immigrants are half as likely to be arrested for violent crimes as U.S.-born citizens. The data shows, except you know what? They don't show us the data. If I were going to write a sentence like that, I would cite the study and I would cite the data. All we get is, on average, unauthorized immigrants are half as likely to be arrested for violent crimes as U.S.-born citizens. So how might that be true? Or how might that be false? I'll tell you a way it could be true. There's 10 million, let's say 10 million illegal immigrants. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt so they can get the stat they just threw at you. There's 10 million illegal immigrants in the United States. There's roughly 350 million citizens of the United States. If you were going to bank on someone from a group of 350 million committing a crime or someone from a group of 10 million committing a crime, which group would you think would be more likely to have someone commit a crime? Now, you can argue, and I'd listen to your argument, that the people who are coming in the 10 million group, the illegal immigrants, come here with no desire to assimilate into our culture, no respect for our laws and all that. And for that reason, the percentage chance that it'd be an illegal immigrant might be higher, and you might not be wrong. But the guess is because the other number, 350 million citizens, is so astronomically bigger than 10 million, that's how they can say unauthorized immigrants are half as likely to be arrested. Half as likely. If they're even that close, that tells you how lawless they are. Be right back. ladies and gentlemen.
Start until late summer, early fall, maybe inching even closer to the November election. Now, critical things to remember now pending before the justices. In April, they're going to hear the case of a January 6th defendant who argues the Justice Department improperly charged him with obstruction of an official proceeding. Now, that charge, if it sounds familiar, Jack Smith has brought it against President Trump. So it's possible if the justices rule in favor of that.
Just visit NordVPN.com. One of the fastest VPNs on Earth will block web trackers, malicious websites, and malware-ridden downloads. It will also encrypt your internet traffic while maintaining a smooth connection. So improve your digital privacy and protection against hackers with one simple click. Get the special deal at NordVPN.com and enjoy safer internet daily. NordVPN. Cybersecurity built for every day. Laura Trump provides a fresh and honest perspective on the issues that matter to you on the Right View podcast, now available on the Salem Podcast Network.
The number of Americans, and I think this is part of the problem right now, the number of Americans getting their news from TikTok quadrupled in the past 3 years. It really kind of terrifies me for what is to come for this country.
Subscribe to the Right View on Apple, Spotify, Google, YouTube, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
This is Josh Pick with Aptus Wealth Management. The U.S. and the world have certainly changed a lot in the last few years. We're facing money dangers that we haven't seen in a long time, maybe ever. Inflation continues to be a problem. Interest rate increases have made purchases like cars and homes seemingly impossible for some, and retirement looks like a scary proposition. For many, it appears to be a dire situation and has left them paralyzed and fearful. You are not helpless, and there are ways to gain back control. At Aptus, we help our clients navigate the labyrinth of retirement planning and educate them on how to make appropriate choices for their individual situation. Whether you have never met with a fiduciary investment advisor before, or you just want a second opinion, we're here to help. Call our office today at 614-917-1040 and learn how a cost-free complimentary meeting may be the key to putting your money to work and your mind at ease. And don't forget to listen to the Aptus Blueprint Radio Show Friday evenings at 6, Saturday afternoons at noon, or call our office today at 614-917-1040.
Don't miss out on the opportunity to get great products from Mike Lindell and the MyPillow family. The MyPillow itself, slept on it last night, had an awesome night's sleep. You will as well. Cured all my issues with neck pain, because the thing that drew me to the MyPillow, the thing that intrigued me, was when they said it never loses its shape. Now, if you're like me and you spend half your night before you had a MyPillow flipping your pillow over, punching it, scrunching it, trying to get it to hold your head just so. I went to the extreme where I even taped towels with duct tape in a roll and put them on the sides of my heads like I was a linebacker in the 1960s or something, wearing the old neck roll. No, the MyPillow itself fixed it. You'll find great prices on the MyPillow mattress topper, Giza Dream bed sheets, MyPillow towel sets, all the MyPillow products on sale now. Support Mike Lindell and get yourself a great night's sleep at MyPillow.com. You may remember the death of Bowling Green State University student Stone Foltz. He died during a hazing incident. Big court case, and the guys in the fraternity that he was pledging were found guilty to some degree for his death. Now, this afternoon in Franklin County Court, there will be testimony that will help determine how much 23-year-old Dalen Dunson, who was the president of BG's Pi Kappa Alpha fraternity, where Foltz was pledging, how much Mr. Dunson should pay in compensatory and punitive damages for his role in the death of Stone Foltz. This has been a difficult story since the very beginning. I do not know the Foltz family, and the last thing in the world I would want to do is to add to their pain in any way, shape, or form. But I don't shy away from tough stories, and I try not to shy away from applying the same standard to someone who I can have empathy for to someone that, like this immigrant in Atlanta, I have no empathy for. And it has always struck me as an abdication of Stone Foltz's own bad decision-making to hold others accountable for his death. I don't deny, and nor do I glorify at all, the reason why I was not a member of a fraternity at Ohio State is because I jokingly, when asked, told someone, no, I have a mind of my own. And the idea that I would have to be degraded, and in those days it was commonplace for hazing to take place during Hell Week, that you'd have to walk around campus in some stupid outfit and have other people make fun of you and have people, in the case of Stone Foltz, pour alcohol down his throat, or that he would crave the approval of people who would do that to him, has always seemed to me, first and foremost, to be a decision that, however unwisely, Stone Foltz made on his own. Like, I presume if he wanted to walk out of the situation he was in when he was forced to drink or told to drink an excessive amount of alcohol, he could have. I don't think they would have tied him up and put him in a chair and made him drink that alcohol. If so, then they should be charged with murder. But he was 20 years old during a fraternity pledge event, March of 2021. Members of the fraternity ordered him and other prospective members to each drink a liter of liquor. They then dropped Stone Foltz off at his apartment, where he was found unresponsive. He died of alcohol poisoning after spending several days on life support. I don't have a problem with convicting these kids of violating an anti-hazing law, if there is such a law in the state of Ohio. I just struggle with totally absolving Stone Foltz of his own decisions. And horrific what happened to him. I'm not saying he deserved what happened to him. I'm just saying that's, to me, a personal decision that he made that is unwise. And what can we learn from that? What can we learn from that? Well, we can learn from that that if you crave the approval of others more than you are secure in your own skin, I'm a unabashed, unapologetic evangelical Christian. I'm a wretched person who saved by the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ at the cross. I don't have an elevated opinion of myself, except that I know who I am when viewed through the prism of his sacrifice on my behalf. I know how God sees me. I struggle to see myself that way. In fact, it amazes me and blows me away that God sees me that way. But he can see and does see everyone that way who accepts Christ as their Savior. I don't know what Stone Foltz's situation was. I don't know why he felt the need or craved or had to have the identity of a group around him. I can view other situations with a similar ache in my heart. There's no group out there now that is more tied up in what others think of them than the LGBTQ community, and specifically the transgender community. No group turns on someone who leaves that community with more vitriol and anger than the people in that community. And the reason why people join those communities is because They're looking for acceptance. They're looking for a community. This is particularly true of transgender people, people who think they are a different sex than they're born. And they're oftentimes bullied, and there's no justification for that, in their school, in their circle. And so they're looking for some place where they'll be accepted. And they're looking for other people who will accept them. But they cede their own worth to what other people say about them or how other people react to them. I had a sociology professor at Ohio State many years ago. He said something, I'd never heard it said this way before, but I found it to be so true that I remember it to this day. And he said, I am what I think you think I am. And I lived that way for a long time. And my supposition is that Stone Fultz lived that way, at least in terms of his desire to join this fraternity. And it's definitely true when you hear people in the transgender community say, you know, if you don't affirm my gender dysphoria, then you're doing violence against me. No, we're not doing violence against you. Violence is what was done to Laken Riley in Georgia. That's violence, okay? It cost her life. When people disagree with you, or when people try to lovingly correct your misperception about who you are, you view it as violence, when in fact, there is nothing more loving you can do to another person than to tell them the truth about themselves. I believe, it's my personal belief, that the ultimate truth is that Jesus Christ died on the cross for your sins and that you can be forgiven if you accept that. That is the ultimate truth. Somebody asked me the other day, why do you serve on your local school board? What's your goal? What do you want to do? I'm like, my goal is student outcomes. My goal is to get students to the point where they can think independently and critically, basing their decisions upon things that are first and foremost true, virtuous, beautiful, and not be prisoner to lies and the ideology of others that is shouted at them or forced upon them. That's the whole goal and why I serve on my local school board. It's a lot the same goal why I do this talk show. There are other things I could do. There are other things that if I, had other priorities beyond speaking truth into the lies or shining light into the darkness, I would do. But I feel like this is important. And my goal is not unlike my goal as a school board member, is to get you to think critically, to get you to base your decisions upon reason and logic and common sense and truth. So hopefully we can accomplish that together.
The new FedNow system is paving the way for the digital dollar. Grants the government unprecedented access to your...
All right, that'll do it for hour one. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it. See you tomorrow.
Assault in your liberty and hard-earned money. It's another